What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Sports Podcast Show. I'm your host, Mike, and it's good to be back on the podcast. Been doing a lot of short videos on the Memphis Grizzlies and um, the whole John Morant situation, and now on this podcast, we're focusing on college football and the, uh, just the season overall. And with this, we have no stranger to the uh, the podcast channel, Mike Reginald, here with us today. How you doing, Mike?
I am well. Getting ready for some snow coming in. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah, getting ready for some snow, and we just want to encourage everyone in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, everybody in the SEC area, uh, pretty much in the South, to remain safe. Um, I'm not the weatherman. I'm not going to give you any type of projection as far as how many inches. I'm not going to be that guy. But just be careful, um, especially those that have to work through these conditions, no matter what the conditions are. But again, today we're going to discuss some the college football playoffs. Do a recap of the college football playoffs and talk some SEC football. Throw around some ideas for NIL, the transfer portal, and just college football overall. What we like, what we dislike regarding this past season. It was definitely an exciting, unpredictable season. Um, a lot of fun, a lot of great games. A lot of great games. Would you agree, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. I tried to watch as much as I could, and every game that I was able to watch seemed to be like a really good game. So got pretty
Yeah.
lucky.
Yep. Yep. A lot of, the beginning of the year, I know SEC wise, a lot of people were saying that this year would be the year for the quarterbacks, a large amount of quarterbacks to come out, specifically quarterbacks in the SEC and a few Big Ten guys. But this year, it seemed like every SEC quarterback specifically underperformed in some form or fashion. And so instead of having probably 6 to 8 quarterbacks that were projected high going into college football, now it's we only have 3 that are really projected in the first round, and they're Big Ten guys, and most of
Yeah.
the guys, you know, in the SEC that were projected high are actually coming back. So
Hmm.
I think that's crazy. I think that's great. I mean, it, next year, everyone, NFL wise was ready for this year for just a large amount of quarterbacks come, to come back to enter into the draft, and they're staying. Um, so I think that's really cool. One interesting note from this year to last year, from last year to this year, for next season. That means we'll have some superstars to look forward to, because I believe that sports is driven by your superstars. It's driven by great quarterback play, great running backs, wide receivers, and all that seems to be coming back this year. I think this NFL draft is going to be interesting. Will be a lot of names that we probably don't normally talk about, which is also cool. But it just goes to show that college football is the mini NFL of sports today. We could say that for basketball as well, with college basketball and the G League and the things that are going on there. But back to the game, the college championship game. What were some of your takeaways? What did you think about just the game, Miami versus Indiana?
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch, especially if you were rooting for Indiana. I feel like Miami was in it the whole time, and they had all the chances they needed to pull it out, and they just couldn't quite get it done. They couldn't get over the hump. They looked good. They played well. They just couldn't quite make that play when it counted. And every time that Indiana had to, they did it, and it was very impressive to watch. I mean, some of the catches that were made just blew me away. Like, how do you hold on to some of those footballs? It's a team that looked like they played a lot of football together and knew how to win collectively. Like everyone was doing the right thing. They were pulling their weight. They were being where they're supposed to be. They were making the play when they needed to make it. It was just impressive to watch and a really exciting game.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good game. I think the commentary and the sports analysts and uh, College Game Day, the whole crew did a great job of like just explaining pretty much to a T how the game was going to be. And I mean, Indiana, they play consistent ball, consistent, disciplined football, and they didn't stray away from what they had been doing all year, even all last year. And then
Mhm.
you have Miami, same, kind of. I don't know if we can say they're under the radar, although they did come in with a lot of controversy into the playoff. But same thing, they stuck to their guns. I think this game was pretty much running one in the trenches with the offense and defensive line, and you know, I think it's crazy. I mean, Indiana, excuse me, that Indiana, a basketball school. I
Mhm.
mean, a basketball school. I mean, all of their money is invested in basketball, and they won the football.
They
I
won the
mean,
national championship in football.
it was like a meteoric rise for Indiana. I mean, they were one and done in the playoffs last year, and then this year they completely run the table.
I think
Completely run the table with
like all the other schools should be encouraged by that. Like they
yeah,
were historically like the worst team in college football. That means anyone can do this. It's
yeah,
so
exactly.
it's like great for all the other schools.
Yeah. And I admit I kind of got it wrong because I kind of lumped them in that Big Ten Power Five category. But truth be told, I mean Indiana, you could consider them probably in the same likes as a Tulane
Hmm.
or as just a non-Power Five school that's in a Power Five conference. You
Right.
know, and they for years have just been horrible. And with literally what a few 4-star guys, because now we're judging the star system, which I mean that's all just conversation piece and opinion
Yeah, it's
anyway.
pretty subjective.
Yeah, that it just hype really, but But, they're able to accomplish what they are able to accomplish, a veteran group. This is probably the last time we'll see a veteran I mean, a traditional run program led by mostly juniors and seniors,
Hmm.
older group to actually win the championship as opposed to, you know, an Ohio State or a Florida State or any other Power 5 or Alabama that has 4-star, 5-star recruit that are freshmen or sophomores or redshirt sophomores, and where most of the group in Indiana were mostly juniors and seniors. Um, Pretty much almost an NFL team, some would say. So some would suggest, and I think that's cool. I think that's absolutely great, and it does give hope for teams like Memphis.
Hmm.
That if they're able to put it together that they could be in the same position. And I've been
Absolutely.
for the longest, I think that they should have two championships, one for the Power Five, one for the non-Power Five. But now I'm kind of like, you know what? Excuse me. Now I'm kind of like, Indiana, like you said, has proven that anybody can do it.
Yeah, this just opens the door for all the other schools.
Yep. So I think it's absolutely great. The playoffs, and I mean, does it Fernando Mendoza remind you of that Florida quarterback?
Yeah, very
That
much. Very Tebow-esque.
man, what do you
That
think of it?
run
Yeah,
was insane. Like my son, I'd let him stay up a little bit later to watch it than all the rest of the kids, but I was like, that run right there is iconic. Remember this because that was like you don't see this very often. A team like this coming into a game like this and just blowing through, doing what they're supposed to do and winning it.
yeah,
It was very special. And yes, he reminds me a lot of Tim Tebow. I enjoyed watching it.
yeah. I mean, he has an incredible story, and I mean, I'm glad Indiana finished, you know, finished with winning the championship. Because to be a two-star quarterback and to be denied twice as a walk-on for Miami, and then to come back and win the Heisman, have this amazing season, and beat them in the championship game in Miami. I mean, that's you can't ask for anything better.
No, and the
It's going to
way
be
he
the
handled
number one game.
himself,
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
mean, he's still just humble and gives credit to all of his teammates, um,
yeah,
and just grinds it out and finds a way to win and doesn't do it just so people celebrate him. He does it to win and he lifts up his teammates.
yeah. Total team effort by Indiana and Miami. So congratulations to them and their fan bases. Uh, Miami is back. You know, the thing, you know, in the comparison of both of the quarterbacks, because both of them had different routes. You know, Carson Beck, he of course he was in Georgia for a good amount of time. That's what we know. You know, most of his collegiate career being in Georgia, and he transfers to Miami. And you know, he's in his sixth year. I think he does technically have one more year eligibility, but he's more than likely going to the draft, which is absolutely crazy to think. You know that he has another year. You know the I think the one tweet or question that he was asked was, you know, did he go to class? He was like, I graduated 2 years ago, and it just sounded like, you know, oh, I'm just in school. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just here to play football. You know, I don't have to go to class, and it was like, man, that's what is wrong with college football? You know, is you're not a student anymore. You're just a professional football player making $4 million, which I believe he was making at Miami, um, which is wild. But you know,
Basically faculty at this point.
yeah, yeah, you're basically on the staff, you know. But just in along the lines with NIL, and the bowl games, there were at the end of the season. Of course, there was a lot of controversy as far as between Miami and Notre Dame. What do you think of the bowl system? Do you think like to bowl or not to bowl? I think that is the question. You know, not Indiana, Notre Dame, Iowa State, they were bowl eligible and turned down opportunities to go to a bowl. And then there were several other bowl eligible teams, but they're like 5 and 7, which
Hmm.
you had to win at least 6 or 7 games to be bowl eligible. But what do you think of just the bowl system in general?
It's certainly not what it used to be. Um, I mean, it's all because of the playoff system. And with the playoff system growing so much, that just takes over just pretty much all the prestige that the bowl games have. So now no one's even focused on them hardly at all. If you watch some of them, like it's not even half full in that
Yeah,
stadium.
yeah,
So it's kind of like I don't know if we just need to do away with them, but it's not the same as it was 20, 30 years ago. It's kind of moved on from that, and we're on to a playoff system, and
Yeah.
it just seems like it's lost a lot of its luster, and it's almost pointless at this point.
Yeah, there's like zero excitement. I mean, fans normally, fans don't even show up sometimes for these games. And I mean, I just using Memphis as an example, everyone opted in, quote unquote, to playing in the game, right? But then when they get to the game, most of the starters didn't even play. And for all the fans that traveled to see that, the Tigers one last time have an opportunity to at least go for a win, it was pretty much a waste of money.
Hmm.
So I imagine most of these bowl games, I don't know what the numbers were for each and every one, but these random, you know, I don't know, pretzel bowl games, Pop Tart bowl, Sun Bowl, Cheeto Bowl, whatever bowl, we can name, Idaho Bowl. Um, I mean, they're pointless. But I,
Yeah.
I think one idea that could be um they could do is I think they should do away with the bowl season at the end of the season because, like you said, college football playoffs take precedent over all those things. Of course, they need to change the transfer schedule, um, the whole recruiting schedule because it's like right during the bowl. It seems kind of weird for the playoffs to go that far along into January because basketball has to take a back seat. You got the NFL playoffs going on at the same time. And then you got college football going on. And then you have Lane Kiffin type situations
Hmm.
where, some teams are still trying to find a coach. Some teams are trying to find rosters, fill rosters. You got players opting out of bowl games and things like that. So it's wild. But one thing I think that idea for the bowl games is they can keep those bowls. Say like at the end of the year, um, the Memphis Tigers are selected to go to the Cotton Bowl, and instead of having it at the end of the year, have it at the beginning of the year. Whoever they're supposed to play non-conference. So they played North Carolina State, and their the bowl game this year. Have them play that week 0 of for 2026 to start the year. Everyone that is eligible for a bowl starts their season at a bowl game at wherever spot. I think that would be cool. And then at the end of the season, you're focused totally on the playoffs. And instead of wasting a week and several days, have college football in a whole lot earlier as opposed to January 19th. I agree with Lanning from the standpoint of, college should be played on Saturdays and probably in around the first week of the year, like normal. Um, and just go right into the playoffs and just have all those, because you have like Miami, I don't know, or anybody in that made the playoffs. They'll have the Orange Bowl and then the Fiesta Bowl. It's
Hmm.
like those bowls were like, s- you know, bowls that you really strove for, you know, that you really wanted, New Year's Eve bowls that were a big deal. Now they're just part of the playoff, and the student athletes really don't enjoy it because they're focused on the playoff
Moving on. Yeah, moving up.
and to advance.
Hmm.
So just have the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl, have that at the beginning of the year, week 0, whoever, you know, they were would have been projected to play and just go from there. That's what I think.
I think it'd be kind of logistically hard with like seniors. They wouldn't be able to play
Oh yeah.
if they moved it, and they're the ones that earned it.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. The seniors, it would be that would be rough.
I think something needs to be done. I don't know what that is, but
Yeah. I
it's
don't
gotten
know.
to the point where like you've got a lot of football on, but it's not really that compelling when you got teams with losing records and you turn it on and it's not really that close and it's not really that fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got football on, but I mean, I'm tuning out pretty quickly with
Yeah.
so many bowl games that just don't matter and it doesn't look like anyone's really invested in it either. It used to be like I remember you get so excited. The whole communities would just be talking about the bowl game because maybe they had gone 5 years without making one or 10 years. And they get into one and everyone's excited. There's a lot of people it's going to travel to this bowl. It's going to be a great time. I just don't see that much anymore. Everything's more, all the talks about the playoffs. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't think about the seniors. That would be cool for them. I
Yeah,
don't
and it'd
know.
be tough because I mean they were the ones that got you to that point to get to a
I,
bowl game, and if it were the next year, they wouldn't be able to participate.
that's an excellent point. I didn't even think. I forgot all about the seniors. And really, I guess you could say juniors if they declare for the draft.
Yeah, I mean there's probably not a whole lot of seniors anymore these days,
Yeah.
um,
Mm.
but that's just the
I
first
don't
thing
know.
that I think
I
of.
think, yeah, I think either they can do away with the bowls or, mm,
Maybe that could be that second, like not national championship, but like relegated league where they play for like their own little playoffs. Y'all have fun over here while because that way at least there's something that they're playing
yeah,
for.
yeah. It just seems, those bowls, Fiesta Bowl and Sugar Bowl, those are like marquee games and they still are, but it's so, the playoffs is different,
Yeah.
it's just, there's just more, it's just more weight to it, but we'll see how that how that shakes out. I've completely abandoned the two championship or two tournament type, but maybe it'll come up. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Uh, decide that everyone has to all the Power Five program commissioners have to agree, which doesn't seem to ever happen easily, at least.
Well, I'm
Uh,
sure if they're all benefiting from it, they would have no problem with it.
yeah, yeah. Money speaks volumes, right?
Hmm.
So, considering the SEC and the Big Ten, who have pretty much dominated uh, the bowl games, at least, and national championship appearances, you think the SEC has lost its juice?
I would say, yeah, definitely. They have SEC has been great for a long time, um, and they have had a lot of haters who every year say the SEC is overrated, but they said that year after year after year after year, and the SEC kept dominating. Um, and I would think after like 10 years of saying the SEC is overrated and them winning everything, they would stop saying it. But I guess they were right this year. Um, and last year, I think it's been a slow, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a huge decline, but it's definitely a gradual decline. And not just the SEC not as good, but other conferences like the Big Ten getting better.
Yeah,
And I believe the transfer portal has a lot to do with it. It has leveled the playing field across the country. Um, so I think that has a lot to do with it. Um, NIL has a little bit to do with it with people like Saban. I'm pretty sure that's why he's done. It's just it. didn't become about coaching. It's about the transfer portal and NIL. Um, it's just a different game now, and there's a lot that goes into it. And so I think it's leveled the playing field, and the SEC is down, and other conferences are rising.
Yeah, yeah. I think the whole point of the transfer portal was to create um, fairness for the students, um, and then parity.
Hmm.
We always see Alabama and Georgia, pretty much in the thick of everything. Top four, top five, whatever the case may be. And now um, the talk is expanding from 12 to either 16 or 24, which will be interesting. What do you think is better though? Do you think it's 16 or 24?
I think
I
12
think
is the
12
number.
is the number.
I wouldn't go anywhere. Like, there's no reason to keep going up. I don't like that the basketball tournament kept going up. Like, it was 64 forever, and then it was 65. And it's like, we don't have to keep adding more teams into it. Make it harder to get in, um, and establish like a product that is, if you do this, you get in. Don't just keep bringing more teams in that don't necessarily deserve to be there. You could have 30 teams in there, and someone's still going to complain that they didn't get in.
Yeah,
But there does not need to be that many teams in there,
yeah,
because it doesn't matter the number. There's always going to be people saying that more people deserve to be in, or this team that got in doesn't deserve to be in. I think 12 is a good number. I would not go up. I would, if anything, maybe go down. But actually thought that it went really well this year. So I think 12 is a good number and wouldn't mess with it.
Do you think? Yeah, I could agree with that. I could agree with 12. Sticking it at 12. Um, I just keep thinking of Miami. For weeks, of course, Notre Dame held that spot, and then at the very last week, Miami jumped them. Then it became
Hmm.
that type of thing, and I get it how Notre Dame felt slighted.
Yeah.
In that instance, and
I
but
think that's, I mean, that happened to Florida State. They had, I mean, what else can you do? You
oh
can't do
yeah,
any better than what they did,
yeah,
a couple years ago. They get slighted, and they didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason they shouldn't be in there. That's why I
yeah,
think 12 is a good number. Because if there were 12, of course they would be in. Um, but going more and more, you get these fringe teams that are going to complain. And it doesn't matter who gets in, who it gets left out, somebody's going to complain. And if it were the other way around, someone's going to complain. So the number, you can add as many teams as you want. You're always going to have the same problem. So I don't see the reason to add more. There, legitimately, there's not more than 12 teams that are going to win the national championship in the country.
yeah,
Um, so if you're getting in to the playoffs on the 24th spot, well, then you're just probably getting lucky if you get all the way through.
yeah, yeah. You're right. Because I mean, we didn't give Tulane or JMU a chance at all.
Hmm.
And and they got blown out in each of their matchups, and
Yeah, I mean,
they probably would have been at the bottom, close to the bottom, or barely, or well, they would have been top 24, but they probably wouldn't be in the top 16 at all,
yeah.
or but you
But
know,
even Oregon got blown out, and they deserve to be in the playoffs for sure.
yeah, yeah,
They just came across a team that eventually won the national championship, um, and deserved that number one seed.
yeah, and then the seeding. I mean, Miami, they were the 10th seed. They didn't even make it. They didn't go to their championship, ACC championship. Didn't even win the ACC.
Yeah,
You
they just
know,
got hot at the right time, and like they had good season. They
Y-
were a sleeper, but they had a solid season, um, and deserved to be in the playoffs, obviously, because they ended up losing a tight game to the number one seed.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they will eventually jump to 16 or even 24 later down the road, several years, maybe a couple of years from now. Just from just for the love of money and everything else.
It keeps trending that way, so I'm sure it'll get there eventually.
And then of course, I don't even really want to see uh government get involved. I think
No,
I don't anytime government is involved in anything when we have other pressing things going on, in America, we don't need government and being involved in college football. In
no,
any college sport, really. In any sport, we don't need government involved, to that level. Deciding how college, NIL, and college playoff tournament. But anywho, we'll see how that goes. Either way, it'd be fun. Uh, last time we spoke, we talked about the college carousel, and so looking at the SEC, which team do you think is going to surprise next year? Which team do you think is going to disappoint?
I don't know. I do know I've got my eye on Auburn and Arkansas. I really want to see what happens with those programs. I couldn't tell you if they're going to surprise or disappoint. I do think Alabama might disappoint some people, but who knows?
Shoot, they disappointed this year,
Yes, they
according to
did.
some. Yeah,
Well, anytime they don't win a national championship, they're
right.
disappointed, whether they deserve to even be in the playoffs or not. If they don't win at all, Alabama fans are not happy. So it might be another year like that next year. But I'm really interested to see how Auburn and Arkansas do.
All right.
And I
Those
hope that
are the ones that have surprised you, or
I'm hoping they're a surprise.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
really I want these first year coaches there to do well, and they are traditionally really good schools that it's a lot more fun when they're good and they're not very good or they weren't last season. So I'm hoping they're surprising, and I really hope the Gators are the most surprising of all in a good way. But we'll see. I think they're just going to be exactly what people think is going to happen, maybe a little bit better than this year, but still not where they need to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be highly competitive. I think the team that I'm really looking forward to surprise is going to be South Carolina, and if I had to do two, it would be South Carolina and I guess Arkansas. South Carolina and Arkansas.
I really want South Carolina to surprise some people because I've been expecting it. Um, I was expecting it this year and it didn't happen. So maybe next year.
And that's why when Memphis was searching for a coach, I really like Shane Beamer because he said he's like I think this year he's like up and down. So this year South Carolina they went 1-7 in the SEC and they were 4-8. So I expect that to flip completely,
Hmm.
and it'd be the complete opposite. Of course, think this year they start playing 9 conference games as opposed to their traditional 8. Um, which that should be interesting too. Uh, but I was, yeah, South Carolina. and Arkansas will be my surprise. We never got a chance to see Antoine Hill in Memphis, and now he's going to Arkansas and could potentially be the starter. Not only that, they got Sutton Smith. They got a running back too. So, I mean, and they got a wide receiver. So, they got some of the guys we would have expected to be great. If Silverfield were returning as coach, um,
Hmm.
they're going to be the main guys. In Arkansas, from what it looks like. I just think it's the parity in the SEC. I mean, Tennessee's going to have a new quarterback. Vanderbilt, they're not going to be the same. Their quarterback's gone, but they're still going to be a tough out, regardless.
Hmm.
Mississippi State, they started off really, really good, and then they kind of fell off, but they're going to be tough. Auburn, new coach, new direction. Florida, I think Florida's defense is going to be much improved. Um, with you guys, new coach from Tulane, Alabama, Ty Simpson's gone. Their quarterback coming in is already talking about he's going to be the Heisman. Is already stirring the pot there, and then you got Texas A&M, tough place to
Hmm.
play. Really competitive. They had some really really good recruiting classes in the past couple of years, and their guys, I think for the most part stayed, but they should be a veteran group so they could make some noise. And in Georgia, they are always there. Ole Miss
Yeah.
is going to be interesting.
LSU with Kiffin. You've got Texas
LSU
coming off a disappointing year when they were
with
supposed to
Archie
be
Manning coming
good.
back.
And
Yeah,
they're going to be really hungry next year because of how disappointing this season was. And they were getting better throughout the year. So if they can carry that into next year, they'd be one to watch out for.
yeah. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting to see who comes out uh, on top, and it'll of course create more controversy because most of the was Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss and Oklahoma. They made the playoffs, I believe, right? Yeah.
Ole Miss, Alabama, Tech.
Yeah. And most of them had at least two losses. So with that extra SEC game, that kind of makes it interesting. And then Big Ten, I'm not going to go there, but Oregon should be back
Yeah.
strong. And I don't blame their quarterback one bit for deciding to come back. And it's not because of the NFL draft, but I think he made a very, very smart decision to come back to school. Um,
I think you're seeing a little bit more of that now because people aren't developing as much because they're not staying in the same spot. And
yeah,
even if they are staying in the same spot, their teammates are moving. And so they don't have the same core group. And it's hard to develop when it's a new, you're having to figure out your players every year. Um,
yeah,
and if you're not that cohesive group who has like a core group of guys, it's harder to develop. I think with the shifting around, more guys are having to stay longer, um, just so they can get to where they need to be for the draft.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think like Ohio State's going to be good. They're always
yeah.
good. I mean, it's it's going to be strong next year.
It really is. I mean, next year college football is going to be just as strong, if not stronger, I think, than this year.
Hmm.
I think I think has to do with the fact that NFL sucks at developing its quarterbacks. There's so much everyone wants instant success right off the gate. They're looking for the next Jaden Daniels, looking for the next CJ Stroud, uh, next for the next Bo Nix, type of year, the type of seasons they had the very first year, and it's just not happening. And maybe that's just the culture of the NFL, the first year, but the first year, you shouldn't be as a freshman or as a rookie, I'm sorry. As a rookie, you shouldn't really be expected to take your team to the playoffs, but that is now the expectation in the NFL.
Yeah,
You know,
and I will say that I think I watched as much as I could of Cam Ward this year, and I think they did it right because he did develop very well. Um, he didn't take him to the playoffs in his first season, but he did show a lot of development throughout the year. Um, and honestly, like Stroud, in the games that I watched of him in the playoffs, he's not fully developed. He made a lot of mistakes that they could have easily gone out before they did. He got away with a lot. I
yeah,
mean, I know they won against the Steelers. What was 30-6?
yeah.
Um,
All
but
because of defense.
it was he made a lot of plays that could have cost him the game, and it
Yeah,
didn't. And then you saw it again the next game. So I feel like Cam Ward is on a better trajectory than Stroud right now. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't know when the next first year guy that comes in is going to be able to do what they used to be able to do 20 years
yeah,
ago but um, even Peyton Manning, he was a slow developer. He was a great
yeah,
quarterback when he went in, but they didn't just start immediately winning championships when he went to the Colts. It took a while because they also had to find other pieces. So
yeah,
um, yeah, it's tough, and everyone wants instant feedback or wins, I guess. They just want it to be now, 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 and it just can't always be that way.
yeah. Is that it's kind of the right system, having the right system because as a quarterback, as a in college, you get to choose where you want to go, whereas NFL, you're drafted. You can't just go where you want to go. You just can't go to the system you want to go to. You
Hmm.
have to be selected for it, and then it's the NFL's job to put the right system around you. So Ward, he showed signs of good. Some good. They fired the coach mid-season, which isn't great.
No.
They hired Salah, which now everyone's kind of wondering, who his offensive coordinator is going to be.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll say this about the Salah hire because I really think, um, well, first of all, I think the Jacksonville Tennessee Titans game, that game has just gotten heightened up a little bit more because Salah and Jacksonville don't get along. Their coaching, whatever. But I mean, you got Kingsbury that's out there. You still got Dayball that's out there. I mean, offensive coordinators that are really good at developing quarterbacks
Hmm.
are out there. You really just want to see Ward in there, learning from a McDaniel. Of course, he's going to the Chargers with Justin Herbert, so we're going to see a whole new Justin Herbert for the next couple of years, possibly. With his play. His play
Yeah.
is going to be elevated and everything, and his development is going to go through the roof. But we got Joe Burrow. Has he regressed? I don't think he's regressed. I just think he's
Stayed
maybe,
flat, probably.
yeah, he's just there. And whether the Bengals need to make a coaching change, or they should have made a coaching change or not, I don't know. But these SEC quarterbacks, that are in the NFL, you know, playing under the right system, whether it be whether it's at their current school or in the NFL. Um, determines whether they're career backups or perennial Pro Bowlers for their
Hmm.
career, and potential maybe Hall of Famers. We got Drake May. His school doesn't come, North Carolina, ACC guy. We don't hear too much of the ACC at all,
No.
college football wise. But we got, and unfortunately, Bo Nix. He's a Big Ten guy. He injured his foot. I'm wondering about his foot because I broke my foot, and I'm wondering if he and I have the same similar injury. I want to know what kind of painkillers he used. Man, I could have used it, but you got Bo Nix, you got Drake May, and you got Sidham. Which I don't know what school he went to, but he's a veteran. And then Matt Stafford, Georgia guy. In the right system.
Hmm.
Because but he didn't suck in Detroit. He was solid in Detroit, but he still weren't winning. But he
Yeah.
goes, under McVay, and voila, you know, championships, playoffs, success. So development matters, coaching matters. I think is what we can glean from whether a team surprises or disappoints. So with all these quarterbacks, with the projected amount of quarterbacks that were projected to come out this year, and they decided to stay this year, I said they got those quarterbacks and some really smart people around them that are getting them ready and developed for the next level. So kudos to them, and the SEC. We'll see what LSU does.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, he's got to do it. He's probably under the most pressure this year, and in the years to come, to bring a championship to LSU. Maybe he's the next SEC coach in line, to bring the SEC back into the championship picture. Um, so we'll
He's
see.
not going to have a whole lot of time to do it.
Yeah,
They, they're going to want
yeah,
results now.
yeah. So let's talk about the Tigers. Yeah, Charlie Huff. What are your impressions so far?
Well, I am excited. Um, I wasn't sure about it when they first hired him, but it seems like everyone that's been around him and been around the program while he's been here, it's nothing but positive. And so that I can't help but be positive because that's all I've heard is just positive. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what he does with the team.
I think he's going to do a great job. Um, there are so many names that were kind of just thrown around. Dan Mullen and others. The Oregon offensive coordinator, who's going to be in Kentucky. Now he's going to be the head coach of Kentucky. So, hey, Kentucky might be one of them schools in the playoff. Might have pull another Indiana.
That would
Now
be a big surprise.
that would be crazy. Ooh, Robert Williams,
Yep.
man, that would be something right there. Um, yeah, I'm loving what Charlie Huff is doing. I think we got the right guy for the job because he understands what the mission is, and that's to win championships and not just win games. He has a tough schedule though. Next year, with most of the tougher opponents being on the road as opposed to being at home. But I like what he's doing recruiting wise. I like, we got a lot of he's brought in a lot of guys he's familiar with. A lot of his coaching staff, brought in guys that they're familiar with. Um, Offensive line and defensive line look really, really good, really rebuilt. Secondary, and then with the defense that they said they're going to play, which is a 4-2-5. Um, I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes because I feel like defensively has always been our Achilles heel. Um, for the Tigers, just not being able to put teams away and just really not dominating at all up front. And we lose the
especially against a
Navy.
triple option
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. We lose the Navy every time, every year.
every year.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, uh, man, every year. But I think it's going to be fun. I'm not expecting an undefeated season. I think you'll lose maybe 3 games, maybe 3 or 4 games. I think you'll have a good year, a building year. But I'm excited about it because just the players. Apparently, we have Johnny Mansell as a quarterback, and we have Ohio State quarterback who was really good coming out of high school. So the quarterback room actually has quarterback competition, which is rare for a non-power five.
Very rare.
And then our running backs, we got a good a good group of guys. I think, and then I think the tight end position for the Tigers have been an underrated position, but a fun position to watch. So
Hmm.
you got a guy that's 6'6" and up. We got a couple of guys that are reaching that are at that height, and they're running 4.5s and 4.4s. So we got what's that tight end that went to Florida? It's in Atlanta.
Um,
I
I
can't think of his
I know
name. Yeah,
who Kyle Pitts.
yeah, Pitts. So it seems like we have a lot of Kyle Pitts uh, on our roster.
We need some
Uh,
Randy Mosses.
yeah, we could use some. We could use some. A lot of versatility, a lot of athletes from what I've seen from who he's recruited so far, and a mixture of high school guys, which because I really feel for the high school player, the high school athletes now. They have to compete with transfer portal guys that have been experienced. Now it's really hard for them to get onto a college campus,
Hmm.
on a football field, and then um, I know athletic scholarships they expire after 1 year, right? It's nothing full ride, correct?
I
I
believe it is a year by year.
think yeah, it's year by year, and so I saw one story where some guys that have entered their name in the transfer portal are now wanting to come back, but their spot's full.
Yeah.
Or so it's like grass ain't always greener on the
Hmm.
other side, and that whole dynamic. I want to study and get it from a perspective of a student that has been asked to leave and put their name in transfer portal. I think Dion was pretty clear in his first meeting in Colorado when they had, you know, cameras following him around everywhere. Well, he pretty much told the whole Colorado team, former team or past team, put your name in the portal because you're going to be all replaced. But and it sucks that that you get that type of messaging. It's like you don't have a scholarship. here. You have
Yeah.
to go somewhere else if you want. But that whole dynamic, it's a business. Definitely a business, and so it'll be interesting. But I think the Tigers they found their guy. I think we will get at least a championship in in the near future, and we'll see how that goes.
I hope so. I'm excited. I mean, uh, improve a little bit year after year. We'll get there.
Yep. All right. In conclusion, any hot takes, any ideas, thoughts you want to get off your chest?
Man, it's kind of sad that college football is over, but I'm already excited about next year. I'm also ready for the weather to get warm and golf to kick up. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but we still
Already
got to.
Masters commercials.
No, I saw one the other day and got really excited. But we got to finish this NFL season first, and then we got March Madness, and then we'll roll into the Masters.
Yep, yep. Rolling to the Masters. Speaking of golf, I watched a little bit of that virtual golf show,
Hmm.
uh, which I thought was real. And, Tiger Woods was on there, and he was more of a coach. But I just thought that was really interesting. He hit the ball into the screen, and what do you think about that? I mean, it takes away from the real thing.
So I have a hard time getting into it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
I also never know when it's on. I guess I don't pay attention when the commercials come on, but like I never know what night it's on.
yeah,
I'll just look at the guide and be like, "Oh, it's on." So I'll turn it on, and after like 5 minutes, I'm like, "This is not engaging me." It seems
yeah,
like it's all hype and just no content.
yeah,
It's almost like they're having to fabricate any type
yeah,
of
yeah,
excitement.
yeah,
Um, so it's really hard for me to get into. I usually don't watch the whole thing if I sit down and find it on. Like last night, I turned it to hockey.
yeah. Fabricate is probably the right word because I know I watched it a little bit and I was like, he hit the ball in the bunker and they have his little sand pit or whatever, but it's not the same.
No,
You know,
and if something exciting happens on it, I'll probably see a clip the next day, and that's going to be the only exciting thing that did happen. Um, so I'll watch everything I would need to see when I'm scrolling through Instagram or something.
yeah, yeah. I think that whole thing is interesting. But anything I guess that gets you through all the way up to the Masters. Um, hopefully, I'm not gonna say they're hopefully that I mean there's always parity in golf, but maybe we'll hear a different name than Scheffler.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. There's some good young guys that I think are going to take a step up this year. So
We'll see how that goes. But we're looking forward to another fun golf season. And of course, I'll bring you on. We'll talk about the FedEx, and of course, SEC football. But glad to have you, Mike, on the Mike Podcast Show. Please like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, I'm your host, Mike. Mike, thank you, Mike, for joining us. Appreciate you. And
thank you for having me. I always enjoy it.
yep, everyone have a nice, safe day. Again, if you're in the Mid South area, drive safely. Take your time this weekend. Be safe and subscribe. Watch my videos. More content on the way. Peace.